really, really important. And that's kind of where I was going to. I got my farm just sort of by default. It just ended up, I lived there, and like, oh, let me pass out a flyer. But there's a more systematic way to do it, which I'll go over, and how to brand yourself as the expert, as the expert neighborhood expert. You really are the expert. Super double expert. So, I mean, that is such a key, oh yeah, sorry, a key part of it. And then the big part are some marketing ideas. And that's where it has just become so much fun for me. It really, really is fun. And I've got on this, I just kind of brainstormed all the things that I do. And I think I might include some things in there that I don't do. But I'll kind of go through this with you. Again, there's a bunch of ways to skin a cat. And so anyway, yeah, so I've been farming consistently for almost 16 years. And some of the things that have really paid off for me is that it's actually a neighborhood that I live in. And that makes it so much easier, because if it's, you know, for visibility, which we'll go through in a minute with branding yourself, but just, you know, you got to go pick up a key. Okay, it takes 37 seconds to get to their house. And that's always kind of my standard joke. If I am a little bit late, I'll say, oh, there was a lot of traffic. It was a full 32 seconds from my house. And people like the fact that I live in the neighborhood. So when I ever do any of my marketing, I think there's two different schools of thought. When you market, you do it in third person versus first person. I don't know the difference between the two, but sometimes they say to market, say, you know, Suzie has been selling blah, blah, blah. Instead, in my farm area, I say I always refer to I, because I'm us, our neighborhood, and that kind of thing has paid off. So, so geographic farming, I kind of already defined that. It just means taking a geographic area. Usually it's a neighborhood. It doesn't have to be. It could be a zip code, and selecting that, and you're going to say, identifying that as that's the area that I'm going to own. That's the area that I'm going to be the neighborhood expert, and then systematically putting a plan together to brand yourself in that neighborhood. Does anybody have an idea of like some neighborhoods that they're kind of thinking about? Like what neighborhood?
Well, I live in Georgetown Village.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking that, I mean, I kind of like you said, like I walk there all the time. I'm always out and about. I thought this is great because I really do see what's happening.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
So and so you live there,
I live there.
So we'll look at the formula to see if it does make sense, instead of just sort of, you know, kind of like I did, just I'm going to farm this neighborhood. And fortunately, it worked out. Anybody? Do you farm any?
I used to, but I wasn't consistent enough to make it worthwhile, so it was just wasting money.
Okay, and that's a good point, because if you don't do it, I love it when I get postcards in the mail in my neighborhood, and like sporadic ones. It's like, yeah, I mean it's nothing. It's throwing money away. So either do it or don't do it.
Yeah.
So okay. Anybody else have a farm they're kind of thinking of maybe doing?
I'm working on one. I started door knocking in my neighborhood and handing out little gift bags so they know I'm their neighbor and I'm in real estate.
Perfect.
I'm not finished with my door knocking yet, but I've also asked them if I could add them to an email distribution list so I could send out, you know, things to them maybe every quarter. And most of them have been pretty receptive. Now I got to act on it.
That's the thing. That's why I don't have it on the list, because I know that I wouldn't follow through. But that's a great thing to introduce yourself to the farm. So this, I like this little, here's the definition of it. Consistently marketing, consistently over time. Those are the two, if you leave nothing else when you leave this class, consistently and over time. If you want to become the realtor of choice, obtain market dominance, and acquire come list me's. I know you've been in real estate forever. Anybody else like over 5 years, 3 years? So the come list me's, do you guys know what those are? They're like the holy grail of real estate. They're just like, yes.
They call you on the phone.
Yes. Yeah.
Time.
It just is wonderful. And that's what your goal is with the farm. And again, I'm not saying this like because I'm anything special, but I get called, that's what I get. Just a couple days ago, hi Suzie, I've lived in the neighborhood for a while, I see your signs all the time, we need to sell our house. That's the fruit of my labor. Mm-hmm. That's the whole farming thing, if I can use the analogy. It doesn't necessarily pertain to farming, but like really in this business we are farmers, because you're like, in the beginning you till your soil, I mean you nurture, you knock on doors, you kind of take care, plant some seeds, and then you kind of tend to like constant contact. and then eventually the corn comes up, and you get to pull the corn off and eat it, and that's the commission check. But meanwhile, you don't, while you're working on this, you gotta do everything simultaneously, because by the time your corn is ready, you're closing. If you've not been doing all this other stuff, you're gonna dry up. So it's just a constant, you know, and that's with farming too, just constant.
Suzie, when you first started, did you know you were farming, or did you just start?
That's a good question. I don't think I really did, and that's a great question. I did.
The term farming, has that been around for a while? Or?
I think it has. But I just didn't. A lot of time in real estate, you just don't know what you don't know. And I thought, well, I don't want to call people. I don't want to knock on the door. Let me just put together a flyer. And I've attached my flyer in there. That's the same template I've used for almost 16 years. It's boring. It takes me 30 seconds to make. Oh, sure. Yeah. It's really fast to make. My objective is not so much, and this kind of counters what you hear from a lot of people, but it's not even so much like, let's just jump ahead because that's how I like to roll here. It's this stuff right here, that's easy enough. You just get that from the MLS. And here's a little tidbit about the neighborhood. And then some sort of call to action, CTA as we call it in the business, some sort of call to action. It's very brief. I used to write a big paragraph about, you know, the market's been doing blah, 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 blah. And then I realized my main objective, this is the most important part of this whole flyer. This is the most important part. I just want them to see me on there, and I deliver them on people's porches. And again, I'll go through my marketing plan. But every month, mid-month, I have a company that delivers it. That's what they see, time after time after time. They see I'm in the business. And my guess is they probably don't even, I started farming in another neighborhood like 10 years ago. I thought I'm going to do another neighborhood. And so it was a different neighborhood up here. And my flyer delivery company got them mixed up and delivered Stone Oak to that neighborhood and that neighborhood to Stone Oak. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I freaked out. And I had a coach at the time, Jason Edwards, and I asked him, I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to, he goes, they're not even going to notice. They're not even going to, and my guess is they probably didn't. And so that important thing is to have this. But see, this is a simple, they don't even have to read it and they know it's me. They just know month after month after month. But that's a good question. No, I kind of just fell into it. And that's what, you know, again, if you have a little bit of understanding what it is and how to do it right, you can save yourself money and time and get started a lot quicker. I mean, you start reap the benefits. Okay. Any idea why I put a picture of a stool there? Anyone?
In teaching, it's the main idea.
That's probably a good idea. Are you a teacher? Were you a teacher? Oh my gosh, the pressure.
This is your main idea, and those are your supporting details.
It's a three-legged stool.
Well, that's interesting.
You don't do one of the things that's going to topple over.
That could work too.
Step back.
That could work too. Where I'm coming from, and I don't know if I made this up or if Gary Keller said. These are all good answers. The one that I'm going with is that in your business, and again, I apologize because I think it was Gary Keller that said it, is to have, there's so many different ways to have a business. You can do open houses, you can do cold calling, you can do farming, you can do, I mean, so many different ways, you know, Google ads or internet stuff. What I have learned is to have, you need to have a sustainable business, 3 sources of business. So my main leg right here, well, not even main leg, one of these legs I get from geographic farming, and this is from my sphere and my past clients and my database. So I guess I encourage you to kind of think, okay, if I'm going to do farming, that could be one of my legs. I'm going to do it right. So you don't have to do 20 gazillion things to have a sustainable business. So I encourage you just to kind of be focused. Okay, if I'm going to be the queen or king of open houses, then that's going to be one of my legs. I'm going to do open houses. I'm not going to do open houses maybe here, and then I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try that. In the beginning, I guess you can to see what works for you. But again, in this business, to have a sustainable year after year, it's ideal to kind of focus on 3. One of them should be your database, your sphere of influence. But one of my big legs there is my farm. So without my farm, because looking back at my business, so much of my business now started from my farm, because somebody like, okay, we need to sell a house, but the particular neighborhood that I farmed, and we'll talk about this when we're picking out a farm, is sort of like was a first-time home buyer neighborhood, more of an entry-level neighborhood. You know, now their house is like 280, 300, which is kind of still entry-level. But why do you think that's a good thing versus going for the higher ticket?
They're always moving.
Darn,
They're gonna move up.
I knew that. I knew you'd answer that.
You do have one of the best neighborhoods, and Kathy Wallace used to do Ryan's Crossing.
Perfect.
Kind of for the same reason, because it's in that under $300,000 price point, and people are going to leave.
That's
They're always
exactly
gonna
what,
come
they're gonna move up. The demographics for a neighborhood like Stone Oak,
Right.
some of these newer neighborhoods too, first-time home buyers, young couples, they move in, they have their first job, and they get a house that they can afford. So they live in there a few years, and then all of a sudden, they have kids, they've got a promotion, they're making more, making more, it just reminds me one time I went into a defensive driver class, and I was late, and the guy, it was a comedy one, and the guy walked in, he said, "This is Alcoholics Anonymous, are you in the right place?" That was funny. So, yeah, so that's one thing about picking, that everybody thinks, or sometimes people think, well, I want to market into a $500,000 neighborhood, which is great, but you're right. I mean, people like that tend to, anybody like The Office?
Yeah.
So that's another thing to think about, because so what happens is these people, they've never bought a home before, and when I started farming by accident in this neighborhood, they were still building. So a lot of these young couples, and I say young couples because really that was the demographics, they would come in, they would buy directly from the builder. They didn't have an agent. They didn't have an allegiance to an agent. So that was really good. So I was able to, get my claws into them before anybody else did. And so, yeah, they would move up and then buy a bigger house. So I get both sides. And then eventually these people would, after a few years, move to a different house or get transferred. And so now I've got my core farm, but I'm spread all over. Just it's sort of like it's been diffused, and it all kind of starts. If I go back and look at the homes I've sold the last few years, so many of them really started from there. Whether it be referrals or repeat business or whatever. So, did you get one of these packages?
No.
No, that's okay.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right, so that's why I have the stool here. All right, and then branding. I learned this. Do you remember Hobbs Herder? Do you remember Hobbs Herder? It was one of the things I did, and when I first started in real estate, is I used to spend money on stuff. I've spent money on stuff that I hope you never spend money on. I just did I was kind of all over the place. I did the free market analysis on the back of the receipts at HEB and all kinds of stuff. But I went to this marketing thing in Dallas, and Hobbs Herder was the guy. And this is one thing that I really got out of it. When you want to brand yourself as the realtor of choice, like I said here, and I kind of made this up. When people think of tissues, they think of Kleenex, and what I work towards every day in Stone Oak is when people think of real estate, I want them to think of me. So I want those two to be synonymous. And it's funny because part of my marketing is I do a lot of events at the elementary school with the kids, and I've seen a lot of the kids, kind of grow up, and it's funny because they refer to me as Suzie Gole, like, "Hi, Suzie Gole," like it's one name, and which is perfect because that's sort of what my brand is. My brand is my name, and my brand is my face, as embarrassing that is, but that's really important though. That should be your goal. You want to be active and visible in your farm. All right, so now we're going to kind of get to the meat and potatoes. But before we do, I should have said, this is very casual. Questions, if you want to discuss stuff, or if we go through something and you're like, let's talk about that more. Anybody? No? Okay. All right, so you know what I think I'm going to do before we get in this side? Let's go to how to select a farm. All right, so a couple of things you want to look at when choosing a farm, because you can just kind of pick one out of the blue, but that could mean that it would take you a lot longer to gain traction depending on what it looks like, and homes may not sell that much, so you've got, there's not enough business in there to justify everything. And then we talked about number 3, the average sales price. Talked about that. And then proximity to your home. That really, really is important. Not only, like I said, it's just easier for transactional business, but one of the things that if you farm a neighborhood, I just strongly encourage you, get one of the horribly embarrassing magnets on your car. This is how I do it, and it's worked. Is I've got my face on my car. You know, I've got a 12 by 18 car magnet. Does anybody here have car magnets? Car magnets? Have you found them to be, I guess, it's hard, you don't really necessarily get a direct, oh, I saw your car, I'm gonna have you sell my house. But do you guys use magnets at all?
I've had a few people come up to me because I had the magnet.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I've had weird people come up to me, but it's really, I mean, just, oh, can you come to my house and sell it? But it's part of the whole branding, because I've my life now, because I came from Southern California where everything was stressful to drive, so I try to keep my little area, just kind of Round Rock, maybe Leander, Cedar Park, Georgetown, but I drive a lot, short little distance. People all the time, I see you driving everywhere. That's exactly what I want. It's the identity, you know, sort of like, you know, politicians, you know, when there's a election, you see all, you know, these political signs. And this is embarrassing to say as an American, but when I feel like I need to vote, but I don't do my research, and I'll get into the voting booth, it's like, I recognize that name. And in my little brain, I'm thinking, I see this name everywhere. I guess I must be, I guess he's good. I'll vote for him. And that is exactly it. You see my name everywhere, my face everywhere. In some part of the brain, it makes me feel like I'm very active in the business, and oh, I guess we can trust her. Everybody else uses her. So there's a lot of that kind of psychology. So all these things that I do, I personally can't imagine eliminating any of them. I've gone so far as to, I have a white Honda SUV, and I had one before, and it got totaled, and I thought, oh, I can't buy a different car. This is part of my brand. So I bought another white Honda SUV. And you know, along those lines too, is that because the market I farm is still kind of entry level, police officers, nurses. Sometimes I look at some fancy cars, like, oh, it would be fun to have like a BMW or something. But I know, people tell me that I'm ridiculous, but I don't want, it doesn't fit my farm. I mean, it's working people, and I think that if I drove up, again, me personally, in this particular farm, if I drove up in a fancy car, it would make it feel like I'm on a different level. So little small things like that I've had time to kind of analyze. And even with, this is standard in real estate in general, they say is that you dress maybe one step above your clients. Like if you're gonna go to a farm and ranch property, you're not gonna wear high heels and pearls probably. Or if you're going to a luxury listing appointment, you know, you probably wouldn't wear jeans. So you just sort of think, what does the, you know, kind of, so that's, all these things I think are really important to be able to connect and garner trust with them.
So what did you say? Did you say you dress one step
Above, just one
Just
slightly
one step
above, like,
instead of-
yeah. So like I would never wear jeans to
Right.
a listed appointment on my farm. My clients oftentimes do. So just maybe, and I would not wear,
You wouldn't wear suits.
I wouldn't wear a suit.
Suit,
If I
yes.
went to a luxury appointment, I'd have to go buy a suit, and then I would wear a suit. So, because, you know, so much of this is just, I'm their neighbor, I'm here to help them, you know, you can trust me. So all these little small things, I think, play a part. Yeah, so, yeah, so the car magnets. So, all right.
Are
So,
there any negatives to car magnets? Because I have, I've used one before,
Mhm.
not here, and it's not
If you're a
something
bad
I
driver.
really want to do, but
Yeah, if you're a bad driver.
if you're
Road
a
rage.
well, funny you should say that. I had a story well, first of all, it was funny because when my son was learning to drive, he was in my car, and it's like, oh my gosh. I had, one time I was driving through my farm, and you know, sometimes you're distracted and you're thinking, and I was making a turn, and I think I did I cut somebody off. I don't think I did. I know I did. And that next month, I get a call from a lady, stop putting flyers on my door. And I get that a lot. Stop putting flyers on my door. You cut me off in traffic. I would never use you as a realtor. And for a second, my feelings were hurt. But what I've learned is move on. Much like if I see another sign in the yard in my farm, I'm like, you're supposed to be using me, but then I move on. So that's one of them. Other than that, not really. Just you have to be conscious of your driving, because I don't know if anybody go to a Celebration Church. If you go to Celebration Church, pull in the parking lot that has massive amounts of cars, you're going to see mine, because I'm very strategic everywhere I park, because it's free advertising. HEB, I'm going to park somewhere where people can see me. So, yeah, I don't. What is your negative experience with?
Well, I think I worry about a little bit of security and safety. I don't know why. And then just wanting to be anonymous sometimes and thinking about, oh, well, I'm just going to take my signs off. I don't know. It's just weird
Yeah,
stuff.
no, I think the security thing, I am oblivious to bad things in the world, so I don't have I don't. And then, I mean, you can always take your magnets off
Right.
anytime if you don't want to, but this is a good, bad problem, is that I've got to the point where I can't go to our neighborhood pool, because everybody wants to come up and talk real estate. So I have to go to, if I'm gonna go to the pool somewhere across town. So I mean, that is kind of what my goal is. But, so I guess that's a negative. If they see my car there, they're gonna wanna come up and talk real estate, but,
I was just curious.
yeah.
Washing your car too, you have to take the magnets off to wash your car.
Sometimes mine stay on pretty good. You know, that's pretty, maybe because they've just been on there for so long. But I met with a client last week that it was funny, because I was always fun. He said, I can't let anybody know that I'm selling. It's too early. I can't make the announcement to my employer yet. And everybody in the neighborhood, I work with people. So I was incognito. I pulled off my magnets and I parked down the street, put my dark glasses on, and go. So it was always fun. So yeah, I don't think there is a negative.
How many houses are you farming to in Stono?
1,000. So that kind of leads us into choosing a farm, and I don't think I have it here anywhere on the kind of how to determine. And let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay, so let me just do like let's say you wanted to Stone Oak. Say that you just thought, I live in Stone Oak. I want to farm Stone Oak. First thing you need to do is you need to find out how many homes are in the neighborhood. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. If you go through in tax records, you can do it and pull it up through Realist. You could do that, or your title rep can do it too. If you like Georgetown Village, ask how many homes are in Georgetown Village, and if it's a massive, let's say it's 1,000 homes. You might think, well, I only want to start with 500 because maybe your budget right now only allows for that. A lot of the things on my list don't cost money, so maybe you can start. But I went ahead and started all in with the 1,000 homes. So first of all, what you want to do is you want to find out the turnover rate. There's some neighborhoods like Brushy Creek North. I know that's, Donna Webster used to farm that neighborhood. That's a neighborhood that's very well established, and people stay in there forever and ever and ever. And it would be not one that you necessarily, if you have a goal of selling whatever, 30 houses, 20 houses or whatever, if they're only selling 5 houses in that neighborhood a year, it may not be worth farming. So you want one that has at least 6% turnover. And I make up a lot of stuff. I didn't make up that number. 6% turnover, meaning that of that 1,000 homes, at least 6% of them sell every year. So it's pretty easy math. Let's do just look at like Stone Oak. And you guys, has anybody been in the business less than a year? Okay, you too. And you've been less than a year? I didn't know you were less than a year too. So okay, I mean, you know how to use MLS and sort of, kind of.
Very well.
Okay, so let me get signed on first. Have you guys started using Command yet?
No.
I know you have, I know. It's good.
I have a
It's,
few in there, that's about it.
yeah, yeah. I'm one of the beta testers. I think that's what it's called, and it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I wanna go into subdivisions and plug in Stone Oak, and this asterisk thing, it just means that everything with the word subdivision, can you see okay? So any subdivision with Stone Oak in it is gonna come up, but I only want the one over in Round Rock West.
Did you put asterisks before and after?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know the right way. This works for this neighborhood. Would anybody know the answer to that?
What did you do? Did you do it
I can't
Where
see
did
what
you
you
put
have,
the
that's what I'm
asterisks?
asking.
Oh, it's got, it only has before,
Okay.
Okay.
and let me see what happens if I do after. Oh, I guess you do before and after, before and after. All right, so what I wanna do is I wanna look to see how many homes have sold in the last year. So I'm clicking on the sold, 0 to 365. So how many homes have sold in the last year? So right, see where it says 52? So that's about, so that's 5.2%. So that's a little low. It surprises me. Knowing my farm, I should know that.
But you have all 52 of them, so it doesn't matter, right?
Is there exactly 1,000 in a neighborhood?
There is actually, well, like, I think 1,002 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's really, yeah. Yeah, so
How far back did you go?
I went a year.
A year.
Yeah, yeah. So in my defense, I probably, when I was doing this before, well, I guess not really, because I just stumbled upon this, but previous years it's been more than 6%. But so if it were like 20 homes, I'd be like, really, do I want to start, is this a good one to start in? So do you want me to try Georgetown Village?
Please.
Okay, let's see.
It's interesting, there's two sides, but.
That's what gets complicated.
There's two zip codes.
Okay,
It's weird. Shell Road divides it.
DB and Shell.
I was gonna do the little asterisks afterwards.
So there's a lot of rental homes in Georgetown Village also. Because again, I'm over there like 4 times a week because that's where I work out.
Yeah.
I say over there because I live on one side,
Uh-huh,
but I tend to work out
On
on
the other side.
because it's bigger.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it shows 92 homes. You'd have to find out exactly how many, or 92 homes sold. So that's a lot of activity.
I'm telling you, it
If-
seems like there's always something.
But if there's like 5,000 homes, but so those are the two key things you're gonna need to see what the turnover rate. How many homes in the neighborhood and how many have sold in the last year, and try to keep it around 6%. I mean, you can do lower, but just know, you may not, get as many listings as you, potentially
And
do.
then how would you
find
figure?
out how many homes are in the neighborhood?
You could either, ask a title rep, they can pull it up, or you can do it, I would show you how to do it, and you can go into Realist, but because I didn't know how to do the asterisks down here, I'm afraid I'll mess it up over here.
It's the same way.
Is it the same way? Okay, let's try this. So if I'm wrong, don't think I'm,
And then will you show us how you figure out what agent has?
I will.
Yeah,
That's
that's
really
sure
fun
we can measure.
for any neighborhood to do.
What did he say?
He wants to know, to find out, because how many agents, because how many agent, or if there's a prominent listing agent in the neighborhood. Yeah, because if you don't want, 15, if there's an agent that has at least 15% of the market, you can start farming any neighborhood you want. Just know the higher it is, the more, it's like if you're making Coke and, you want to invent a new cola, okay, maybe you can it's just going to take a whole lot longer to knock down the big dog. So you can do it, but just know it's ideal to find a farm that doesn't have a dominant agent in it. So Georgetown Village.
And you're in Realist?
No, go back.
I'm in Realist, yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I'm not gonna mess with this because I'm not that super proficient in this.
Learn more about realists. Where can you go?
What I would do is Williamson County Board of Realtors has these classes all the time.
Okay.
And they have, you know, a lot on Matrix, because we switched, I was even thinking about this morning, we've been with Matrix brand, I think it's a brand, for probably 10 years, but they used to change them every couple of years, and it was horrible, you had to start all over again. That's why the asterisk things I still don't understand. So Williamson County Board of Realtors has, Matrix classes, and they often have realist classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hit the
So,
plus sign.
hit the plus sign,
Plus sign to the right.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a way, and then you can put in the neighborhood, but, because you can see, I've set up, I was able to search on mine. Anyway, so how do you find out who the dominant agent is? So we're in Georgetown Village here, and Georgetown Village, homes that have sold, and we can go ahead and do active contingent, pending, it's good enough. So in Georgetown Village, in the last year, 113 homes have sold. Okay, so let's take a look and see. All right, now what we want to do is this is really a cool trick. I was so excited when I learned this. You can add a column. See how, you know, it's got all the default things, but if you want to know who the listing agent is, okay, what you do is I go over here to, see where my little cursor thing is here? Right in here, the blue part where the address is. Right click and see where it says insert a column. Insert column, and then list agent, list agent full name, okay? And then apply. All right, so here are all the agents, and now what we want to do is we want to group them together. So I just clicked on the top here, and okay, Adam has a couple, Annette has a couple, Daniel has a couple. So far, I'm not seeing, Joe. Well, Joe, so he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What's 9 divided by 113? Like less than 10%.
10%,
So that's not huge, massive.
And his are all closed, so.
I think Scott Stout's the one I'm thinking about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Scott. Well, not two. He's got 1, 2. Is he farming the neighborhood?
He
Is he?
was, but he's kind of stopped.
He slowed down.
6. Okay. 6 homes. 6 out of 113. Anybody?
But I don't know if he's
Yeah.
doing both
6
sides.
out of 113.
Yeah.
That's like 5%.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying if they have more than what, 12%?
15%. Yeah, kind of 15%.
Yeah, that's one.
And those are just on the listing side though, right?
These are just on the listing side, which is real. I mean, if you're going to farm, you're going to focus on that. Just for fun, you want to see the buyer side or no? Is
Sure.
that okay? Just for
How
fun.
did you add that extra column again?
Sure, I'll show you because I'm going to add the buyer side. So I
Okay.
did it just like that. So see where the address is right here.
Yes.
Okay, so I've got that little 4. Brian, what's that technical thing called?
Cursor.
The cursor. Okay, cursor thing. And then I'm going to right click. Okay. And then see where it says insert column. Insert column. Insert column. And then I'm going to type in. I typed in list agent is what I typed in. But let's see, buyer agent. And if someone's doing their farm right, they should have some. Okay, so this is that's the list agent. We want the buyer. Where's the buyer agent?
The buyer agent percentage.
Oh, you're right. That's what I did. Okay. So I'm going to go back in here, insert column, buyer, agent,
No. There.
buyer.
Sub-agent, buyer agent, sub-agent 1.
There's Jay. Yeah.
That was a container.
All right, so that's list agent, buyer agent. So then again, to get them in order, I just clicked at the top there. Ashley. So yeah, for farming purposes, it's good. I mean, and Scott has a couple of them. So, which is good. I mean, you would expect, because, you know, occasionally, you know, like I'll get calls from my signs in the neighborhood, and then, you know, if I don't, because I personally very rarely do dual agency, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Dual agency,
yeah.
or represent, you can't represent the both sides, but, and if I don't, then I can sell them something else in the neighborhood. So,
It's the type of neighborhood that someone could start on, like they might wanna go, there's enough homes that you could upgrade even in the neighborhood, like if this one's a little bit bigger and I still like the neighborhood, that's probably what I'm just thinking.
What's the minimum number of homes to farm in the neighborhood?
really, anything, really, it doesn't
Is it
matter.
like 100, 200?
Just know, like, you know, kind of your return on what you're gonna get, like, so the smaller the farm, you know, the less calls you're gonna get, the less impact you're gonna have, because your biggest farming opportunity is your first listing. Once you get a listing, you can go to town on that one. So, is there a particular neighborhood that you're thinking, or are you just thinking because for
Just for,
finances, a budget?
Yeah, budget, starting out, you know, like first year.
Yeah,
You know, you don't wanna go to 1,000 and spend up the
absolutely.
marketing money.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you wanna start small, I'm just wondering.
That's true. So, yeah, I would think, you know, if there's a well, let me tell you how much I spend on marketing. You're gonna think, wow, that's not very much. Well, so I guess before we do that, do you have any questions on selecting a farm?
Thank you for doing that.
Sure. And I think I have, I wanna, let me see, let me see what I have real quick. If this is right. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What's 12 divided by 57? Anybody?
By 50?
12 divided by 57?
48 divided by 12 is 40. That's 400.
Anyway, I get, so this would be, so let me just do the math real quick, because I think 15% is
That's
really,
close to 20%.
is it 20, see, 1,
That's
2,
all.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Actually, it's about
21. 21%. Yeah, so, you know, when somebody, like, coming in, if somebody tries to farm my name.
Don't bother.
Yeah, I had, there's one agent, he was with Keller Williams, not with this office. He tried farming the neighborhood for about probably 6 months. He put flowers on the door, but the flowers were for a different neighborhood, which is so bizarre. It was for Vista Oaks, and I'm thinking, that's my competition. So, but selecting a farm, so you want to get the turnover rate at least 6%, no more than a dominant agent that has no more than 15% of market share. Those are kind of the things you kind of look at. And then to answer your question, you know, you can start, you know, 100. Ultimately, because the whole neighborhood feeds off each other. So, you know, the sooner you can get up to your full neighborhood, the better. But so, how much I spend on marketing? So the flyers that you see in your packet, those, I have those printed through Office Depot. Keller Williams has what's called a store purchasing card. Does anybody have the store purchasing card?
Thanks to you.
Oh,
You
yay!
shared that one. Yeah,
Yay.
you shared it.
That's right, yeah.
I haven't used it yet. but I got it.
Yeah. So you set up, I put the guys, Joe Lawson is our rep. So what, so you contact him and he'll get you your own account, and then you can go on Office Depot's business account and order flyers. So I pay 2 cents for each black and white flyer. 2 cents. So I print 1,000. So do the math, it's $20 for 1,000. So it takes me, because I've got my template, which you guys are more than welcome to use, that's why I put it there. But probably change your face in it. Well, actually, no. Use my, no, never mind. If you want to use my template, you got to use this bottom part too. So I, you know, every month, I usually, you know, 3 or 4 days in advance, go on the business website of Office Depot, which Joe will help you get set up, and then just upload, and then you can have them flyers delivered to your front porch for free. So, because you're a special customer, or because of Keller Williams. And other, like, I think National Association of Realtors and even Texas Association of Realtors has those store purchasing cards. Our deals are better though. Keller Williams negotiated better deals for office supplies. Go in with your card, not just printing, but if you need paper or binders or folders, a lot of the stuff is super cheap. Like I bought some binders once to bind my listing packets. They were 90% off with the store purchasing card. So anyway, so I encourage you to get one of those. So I spend that. So I spend $20 to get them printed. And back in the day, I did print them in color because definitely they look better in color. I would print them on my inkjet printer at home. Very time consuming and all that. Printing color at Office Depot or here, it would cost a fortune. And I know that they would look so much nicer like this, but that's something I just made a decision. I'm spending $20 instead of $250 or whatever it would be. Some people might think, oh, these are so cheap, but it's working okay. So
Just put it on white paper?
I just put, yeah, they print it there, yeah. And once,
Regular paper?
just regular 20-pound paper. So again, this particular price, my objective is just getting on their front door every month. And with that being said, I do a couple of times a year, like every other month, I'd say, get a call from people. Not just saying, would you mind not putting flowers on my door, but threaten to kill me, not threaten to kill me, but I'm gonna come in your office and shove that down your throat if you don't. I mean, really, people who have bad days and they see my flyer on the porch, and I get it, I'd be annoyed too if I were them. But what I do, then I just mark that as don't deliver to them. And, but I'm not gonna, it's not gonna stop me from farming.
So this particular one you do in black and white?
I do,
Okay.
yeah, I do, yeah,
No color, okay.
yeah.
How do you go about getting delivered?
Okay, thank you, that's, and I've got this, and that is the big thing, is, and I've used a girl, her company, and I put her contact information on the last page. She charges me, I've been using her probably 5 years, 15 cents a door. And she'll come, pick them up on my doorstep, and deliver them. And I think for the most part, I spot check sometimes. And, you know, she hires people, and it's not 100%. And I think short of putting a stamp on it, I don't know if there is a way to do 100%, but good enough. There's other companies around that I've researched. She's the most economical, 15 cents. You can maybe hire somebody, a teenager or something, 15 cents. But that's the big thing, is to find someone who's dependable, because that could be your biggest, oh, I want to get them printed easy enough, but who am I going to deliver them? And maybe in the beginning you can, but eventually that's going to get old. I'm getting old. So, yeah, and I try to do somewhat consistent, and I try to do them maybe on a Thursday or Friday. Don't ask me why, but just sort of like, just for consistency. So it's the same format, except in January. In January, I do a recap of the previous year. So to the extent of money on a regular basis that I spent, so it's how much is it? Like $150 for the delivery. So I spend $170 a month, and the return on my investment is astronomical. So it's definitely, but the thing is, and I say this just because I hold myself accountable, I've not yet missed a month. There's been times, it's like the 31st, please, and it's like 11:59 p.m., please deliver these before the end of the month. But that's gonna be the key. If you wanted to go and spend some money, and I've done this kind of, sort of, occasionally, is, have you heard of Every Door Direct?
Yes.
Kind of a funny story about Scott. Brian, I don't know how to get out of here now. He messed up my computer. So Every Door Direct, and it's kind of a funny story. Many of you might know that I was Scott's mentor when he first started in real estate. And he from the beginning, he had a come from contribution attitude. So I remember he came into my office when we were at this, oh yeah, where am I? The round, just like the old Round Rock office, the new Round, where were we? But I remember he came into my office. I hope we're not being recorded. Is this being recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Which Scott?
Yeah, what's that? Scott, our Scott.
Okay.
Yeah. And he said, have you ever tried Every door direct, because I told him I was trying to grow my farm, and he introduced me to it. So what it is, I'm guessing some of you don't know what it is that correct? Okay. So every door direct is kind of like a bulk mailing. Now that I'm being filmed, Scott's going to listen like, Suzie, that's not what it is. Why are you telling me this? So my flyers, for example, let's say I decided I wanted to mail my flyers instead. I can put them in an envelope and stamp them and do all that. That's very expensive, time consuming. I can send postcards. That's very expensive. With every door direct, you just go on their website and you'll get the specifics. You can, what I've done is I've printed this flyer, but on the back, I'll have the address. It'll say, because I'll pick out a zone, a particular zone that's in my neighborhood. It's like Route 21 or something like that. And I go into the post office. First of all, I have these printed on a card stock, harder stock, because there's a minimum thinness. They won't mail this. And it's got, you know, my return address up here, and then all the postal service information down here that they require. And there's an insignia thing you've got to put. So it's kind of a pain to get it all set up, but once you get it set up, and then you take it to the, I was going to say airport, you take it to the post office, and like I'll take 1,000 of them, and you've got to band them up in groups of 50, and then it costs, I forgot how much it costs. I think it's like maybe 16 cents or 19 cents for them to put them in people's mailboxes. So it's like a bulk mail rate. So it's a way to do it. It just, as you can see, there's two ways, you know, doing it on the door, I'm sitting on my laptop, in 5 seconds I send it to Office Depot, they deliver it to my front door, and then somebody else delivers. This, I have to get them more expensive to print, and then I have to bundle them, then I have to take them to the post office. So, but if you just think, I don't want to do the door, you can do that. Because, I mean, it's, you know, it's a little bit more pricey, but it's cheaper than first class mail. It's called Every Door Direct, and if you just go on the U.S. Postal Service website, you'll see how that works.
How did
It's
you,
address though, right?
What's that?
It's address.
It'll say, because I've got the route, like this particular postal route, it'll say to residents of, it's like junk mail.
And you do the label?
Let's see, how do I do, yeah, so I'll type in, resident, I've kind of forgotten how I do it, yeah, but it's, all you do is like,
It's not a particular address.
It's not a
route.
yeah,
like
it's not a-
master route, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what the address is, and they just know to put it in every box on their route.
Oh.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, exactly, so it's not, it'll say current
It's
resident.
not neighbor, 123 Main Street,
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
It's just a,
Yeah, so you just set up your template, and it will tell you exactly how to do it, and then you can just have them printed that way. And you're right, the postman, I'm sure, hates me when he gets them, because it's like a big old stack of things in each mailbox. So, did you have a question?
yeah, your delivery person that you hire, how do they deliver to the door? Do they put them on the flyer? Do they put it like in between a door jamb and a door, or where do they put it?
Yeah, it's a good
Without flying away?
Yeah, usually they're actually pretty good about that. They're like, if it's got a screen door, they'll tuck it under there, or they'll fold it and tuck it in there. So a lot of different ways that they do it. So there's not really, because every door is different, but they don't just put it on the ground.
So it's only a one paper flyer?
It's one flyer, yeah.
Okay.
It's just one little chintzy little piece like that, flyer. So, and then you can also do, if you want, you know, sometimes I get a little bug in me and I think I should start doing mailers. I should do mailers, because I know that a lot of people don't come in the front door, and maybe the wife throws it away and the husband never sees it. So I can have more impact if I did postcards. And in our Keller Williams website, there's a way to, or Keller, whatever, before Command, what was, yeah, before Kelly. Yes, thank you. You could do, and you could do just listed, just sold to your farm, which are extremely valuable. But expensive, they're about $1 a piece. So I would be talking about $1,000 to do it to my farm. So sometimes I'll do like a just listed, maybe, 100 homes around, or just sold. But even that, it's kind of sporadic. So I don't do that consistently. The one thing that I do consistently is this. But so that's the bulk of my really marketing stuff like this. But here are some other things that I do to kind of brand myself and become the neighborhood expert. I'm going to skip over orphan clients. I'm going to go back to that in a second. Open houses, that is, I didn't do open houses for a real long time, just because safety thing and all that. But recently I got to thinking, I'm really missing out. Not for the open house, but the opportunity to put signs out. That's the big thing. Because I use dirt cheap signs, and there's a bunch of sign places, but dirt cheap signs in Leander, I think it is. I get the 12 by 8 signs. All my stuff, branding stuff on my signs, I should have brought my, because I have a personalized yard sign, which is just an absolute must. If you're gonna farm a neighborhood, I'm gonna say you have to have, you really should have a personalized sign. I get those at Dirt Cheap Signs also. They're dirt cheap. And I put my picture on my sign. I know that's still kind of weird, but I want people to see. People say, I see your face everywhere. I see your face everywhere. That's what I want. So, so yeah, personalized signs, let me jump over there. Definitely have those with your big old face, and then a sign writer, you know, those things that you can slip, like the way I have them. I have a place for a sign writer on the bottom. It says neighborhood expert, because I'm telling people, figure the more you tell them, the more they're gonna believe it. I started saying that before I sold a house in the neighborhood. Neighborhood expert. I'm your neighborhood expert. I know Stone Oak. All this kind of stuff, just to kind of condition them that I'm the neighborhood expert. So I like to put it, I think I even have it. Oh, no, wait, yeah, I do have it. I think I said Stone Oak. Stone Oak. And then it got cut off, but I put, on the footer, on my regular flyer, it says, I think, over 600 area homes sold since 2004, something like that, down there, just so they can see that I'm like, I've been in the business. And you know, you could, if you haven't been in the business that long or sold very many houses, you could still modify it. Like our team, Keller Williams is the #1 listing agent in Williamson County or whatever, find the data. So you can promote that. But again, branding yourself is someone, I mean, you want to be the Kleenex of the tissue in your neighborhood. So getting back to open house signs, buy a lot of open house signs and directional signs, you know, all the way. I usually put them up, I say usually, I just started doing open houses a few months ago. And one of the things I really hated was going out, getting out of my car and putting the sign in and the bends, and so I hate that. So I hired my little neighbor. He's 10 years old, and I pay him $25 to take him out, put him out on Thursday. Like, I think I have like 15. Takes him out on Thursday and brings him. I have my open houses on Saturdays from 1 to 3, and then he picks them up at 3:15. He makes $25. Win-win. But that's so important. And another thing I do, like if I'm putting a sign in someone's yard to direct that way, I always go knock on their door. I actually got a listing that way one time. I knocked on the door and said, do you mind if I put a sign? And they started talking to me, well, let me show you our house, blah, blah, blah. And then a few months later, she called, can you sell my house? So, and then what I do is you know, if they let me put the sign in their yard for a day and a half, I write them a thank you note and put like a $5 gift card, Starbucks gift card in there. So, boy, I sound like I'm pretty good, don't I? Wow, that's pretty impressive. But the visibility of the signs, you want them to see your face everywhere. Yes.
You ever have anybody say no?
No, I haven't. And if nobody's home, what I'll do is I will leave, like, on my business card, something like, you know, I hope you don't mind, I put this sign out. If it's a problem, call me, I'll be right out to take it out. So nobody has yet, so. Let's see.
Do you put your open house signs up a day and a half ahead of time, directionals and everything else?
Just the directionals, yeah, the one, open house, it says open house Saturday 1 to 3 is what it says.
So it does have
Yeah,
Saturday.
it does have, yeah, thank you for
Okay.
having me clarify that, yeah. And then I invested, this is big time, I invested in one of those things from the Board of Realtors sells the big open house thing, you know, the big flag thing. So I tried to use it, I couldn't, it was embarrassing, so I haven't used it yet, but I figure I'm really an open house queen now, because I have one of those. Someday I want to buy those balloons, those, you know, fake balloons, yeah.
I did an open house with Scott in Santa Rita,
Uh-huh.
and we went to go and put up the signs, and 2 people turned us down with letting us put
You're
signs up.
kidding!
Yeah. both on the corner. And then
I wonder why.
I don't know.
That is weird.
Yeah, one of them answered via their Ring camera, and the other one
Oh.
just answered the door, and they're like,
Are you serious? I wonder if, let's see
But
something.
isn't part of the corner right away where you can do whatever you want?
It is.
It's considered owned by the
Yeah.
HOA, but a lot of people
Or
don't
the
know
city.
that. Yeah, I think it's the HOA of the city or something like, but you're on the other side of the sidewalk, but I just think they might not know, and just courtesy, yeah, courtesy. But that's really weird, yeah. But open houses in your farm are really, really important, so I would encourage you to take an open house class, because there's a way to really max those out, and I won't go into that today, but you can knock on the doors around, you can send notes, you can do all kinds of stuff, but the main thing is get your sign out. Let's see, calendars, I don't really do those. I used to do the magnet calendars, but now everybody has stainless steel and it won't stick, so I don't really send those out. So when I have a listing, this is sort of my my systematic way of doing it. Like 3 to 4 days, again, this doesn't mean it's right, this is just what I do. 3 to 4 days before it goes in the MLS, I put a coming soon sign out. First of all, when somebody calls me to sell their house, first thing I'm thinking, where is it? Is a high traffic area. That's really key. If it's, like there was one, I don't know if anybody ever goes into Stone Oak, but there was one like right by the school, and everybody passed it day in and day out. And I was like, oh yeah, this is beautiful. But so coming soon sign, I put about maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days ahead of time, just to have more exposure out there. But definitely not too far in advance, because this is what I tell my sellers is like, if we put it too far in advance, it makes people think, well, they must have a lot of work to do, it's a big mess, and it's going to be sort of somewhat anticlimactic. And also, people in the neighborhood might think, I've seen that sign forever. It's like taking a long time. So 3 days is kind of the sweet spot. And then the sold sign, this is where it maybe it's against rules, but this is how I do it. This is how I do it. As soon as we go under, usually, sometimes if it's a weird situation, I don't. But as soon as we have an executed contract, I put the sold sign up. Technically, it's not sold until it's funded. I could put contract pending, but I think sold is more impactful in big red letters. And sometimes when I don't do it, if it's just kind of it feels a little shaky, because the bad thing is you put sold and something happens.
Comes down.
It takes it out. And I guess you should, as I speak to the camera, is check with your client to say, would you like me to put a sold sign up? Said, most sellers will like, yeah, because they're so proud it sold so fast. But if I have one that has taken a long, long time to sell, I usually skip the sold sign altogether, because I want them to just to think it's sold, and I just never put a sold sign. Because that's what people, when they call me, they say, I see you sell a home so quickly, because that's what I kind of want them to. So I put it up as soon as I can, and then hopefully it stays up there. So again, this shows an agent that sells homes, because I'll see, like, to be honest with you, if it's a listing not in my farm, I really usually don't even bother with the sold signs. Really, I guess I could, but in my farm, it's imperative that the neighborhood sees that I sell the house, get the houses sold. And you can do one step further too, and I haven't really done this yet. I keep thinking I'm going to do it, is because I do represent several buyers in the neighborhood when they sell a house or when they buy a house in my farm. Getting one of those 12 by 18 signs from Dirt Cheap Signs saying something to the fact that I represented the buyer, or I brought your neighbor, or something like that. Call me if you want to sell. So something like that. Again, having signs out there, visibility. Let's see. This thing is huge. Fortunately, my farm has an elementary school in it. And fortunately, I started farming when my son was going to school there, so I have an in. But I still do lots of events with the school. And like they have a spring carnival, and I have like, you go on my Facebook page and you'll see all the things that I've done. One of the things is like, I've got a little roulette wheel on Amazon. Spin the wheel and you pick your candy. And it's a good thing because the parents will come and the kids will do the spinning and candy while I'm just chit-chatting, and people always, so I got an email from the PTA president the other day, because they're gonna have a trunk or treat, and, you know, she said, thank you for all you've done for the community, are you gonna be at the trunk or treat? And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not doing it for the community, I'm doing it for me, to get business, but any chance I have to be out there with, and not like, the trunk or treat where, you know, you have your car in the parking lot of the school and the kids trick or treat around. I'm very subtle. I'm not gonna pass out my business card or anything like that. I won't even wear my name tag. But what I will do is I'll park in the first parking spot when people have, so everybody has to drive in and they'll see my car magnet, so they'll know. So again, exposure, pancake breakfast, we do that, the carnival. Another thing I didn't put on here that really was an impact is the elementary school has career day, and I do that every year, and it's really fun because they have all these tables set up in the cafeteria, and the kids go to all the different tables, and they have all these different career people there, but I have the longest line. People, you want to know why? The kids in kindergarten, first grade could care less. I just say, you know, I help people buy and sell houses. You want me to see how the lockbox works? And then they all stand in line, they all get a chance to open the lockbox. And it is, and then what they do, and I kind of say this, I said, have you guys ever seen one of these boxes? If you see my sign, because I'll have my sign right there, you look on the door and you'll see one of these, and you can tell your mom and dad that you got to open one. So, I do so much for the community. So, and it's really fun because the kids really do. I mean, they'll, like, I've had parents say, oh, my daughter had so much fun when she did the lockbox. So all those things that are not blatant sales stuff, just sort of, you know, connecting with the neighborhood, getting to know the neighbors and that kind of stuff. And then our HOA, if you do a neighborhood that has a homeowners association, that's gold. You can do, like, we have our annual meeting every year, and I never miss one of those meetings, and I go there prepared. You know, I don't wear my name tag or anything, but the property manager knows me now, and she'll occasionally ask me questions about kind of real estate stuff, and that'll encourage other people too. Like, I always go in there knowing, like, what percentage of the homes are rentals, or, you know, how long are homes. I got to have that information on the tip of my tongue so I can casually bring it up in conversation, or if somebody answers. Because again, I met a guy about 10 years ago at one of those meetings. He was an investor. He's ended up buying probably 10 houses from me in that neighborhood, just from me meeting him, and, you know, I'm the neighborhood expert. So HOA meetings are key. I don't sit on any boards because a lot of people don't like HOAs, and if they know I'm affiliated with the board. And I recently, just last month, we had our meeting, and I signed up for the welcoming committee. Isn't that nice of me? I'm so generous with my time, but not like I have any ulterior motives. So another thing I do with the Homeowners Association is we've got a couple parties every year. Christmas time, I set up a table. I buy sugar cookies at HEB and cans of frosting and sprinkles. It is the most popular. I've done it for years and years, and kids say, I can't wait till I get to do your cookies. And so that's a fun thing. And I have my sign set up behind my table. Tons of people, they see my sign, so they know it's me, and just casual conversation and get, you know, face to face with people, because I think people like to, you know, call people to do business with that they know, and I think they feel like they know me when I do those things.
What kind of signs do you use in like that situation when doing like the cookies?
Yeah, so it's in the pool parking lot. So, you know, the HOA hires the magician and cotton candy and all that. I bought a table like this and just put like the red tablecloth on it, and then I put my for sale sign, which is my huge brand, because I went right behind there, and then I put like an elf or something on it for Christmas decorating, and that's all I do. The school spring carnival thing, I do put a banner, and I got that at Dirt Cheap Signs. It pretty much matches this, my picture, my logo. I got this logo on Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. It was $5. Now they've raised the price to $6. They should call it Sixer. But I see these companies that cost, you know, $200 to get a logo, and look how that was. I just said I want I want my name incorporated in it. I'm a realtor, or do something with a house. And they gave me several different samples. Isn't that great? For $5. So I always have that, and then I have my picture, and
Would you say Fiverr, Five?
FRR.com. You can do all data entry. People will do it because what their objective is these people, these freelance people all over the world. You do something cheap, you know, they'll do something cheap for you, and you'll like them, and you'll hire them for real work. So that's sort of the premise behind the business. So, let's see what else.
Did you put your Facebook page, did you put that together?
Yeah.
You did?
Pretty sad. Yeah, I did. Are you impressed?
Yes. I am impressed.
Well,
We don't have one in my neighborhood.
Yeah, well, we have one that doesn't really do much, and I thought, I'm really missing an opportunity. So I just started it a few months ago, and the biggest thrill in my life recently was when somebody said, I can't find my dog, can somebody help me? Because I realized it's working. It's working, because I was doing comments on, we're having this event, and you know, I was doing all the posts, but finally somebody else initiated a post, which is great. So yeah, I did that. I need to do a better job of posting more regularly. Like I've got one planned for today to post, but and trying to make it not all about me and real estate, to make sure it's all, you know, like I reminded people about the garage sale and some different things that are going on. You know, the Quick Trip just opened up and things like that. So I figured.
How did you get their information? Was this because you already had their information?
Yeah, so what I did is I went through my friends on my Facebook and went through the people that live in the neighborhood, because I have a lot of them just because they're past clients, and invited them. So that's how I did it. So, and then those people kind of invited other people. So when I get these people I don't know that ask to join, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right. So.
I like the fact that, you know, there's usually something going on within a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Garage sale or lost dog or
Yeah.
National Night Out.
The National Night Out, yeah.
Or you could host your own Halloween thing, you know, people having it, whatever, you know. And I think that's a great way of subtly advertising.
Subtly, because if you look at the description of the page, it does talk a little bit about me, my experience in the neighborhood, but it's not, other than that, I really, and once in a while I'll put in there, you know, we just listed a house, this house just sold, or whatever. So you sort of, I really want to be a fine line between, I'm trying to sell you something versus being a resource and coming from contribution. So, another thing that I did, I haven't done one in a few years, but it was good. I did a home selling seminar. You know, you have your first time home buyer seminars. I did one for home sellers. Did it in the office, the Randall Rock office. And again, I got a chance to put my signs out there, and then something on my flyer, home seller, and I had about a dozen people show up, so I got some business from that, so that's good. Door knocking, you mentioned door knocking. I think that's great. It just personally, it doesn't fit for me, and much like maybe having an Easter egg hunt doesn't, work for you guys, but that's, I think, a great thing to do. I just signed up to be on the Bunko group. No, not that I want to play Bunko, but, get in there. Garage sales. Those, we have them twice a year, and I'm saying all this, it has an HOA, and that's why this is just such a great farm, is that when it's garage sale day, that's work day for me. I get up, I get up early, not too early because it gets busy in there. I want to be when it's not really crowded. And I'll pull up in front of the house, strategically, of course, strategically, and just in my garage sale clothes, and make sure my car's parked, or they can see my sign. And I'll have my wallet, which of course I'll have some business cards in there ready to go if need be, and just meet them. And just oftentimes they'll say, oh, you sell a lot of houses here, and just, again, have a conversation with them. Many times people will say, well, come and see my house, what do you think? And just to connect, you just want to want them to put a face to a name. And that's why open houses are good too, because a lot of the neighbors come.
So wait, you hold your own garage sale, or you just?
I go to other people's garage sales,
Okay,
yeah.
just visit
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
What do you do on YouTube?
I don't really do anything really anymore. I did last year. I hired this girl from Celebration Church. She did the social media for Celebration Church, and I said, I need some help with social media. So she made me go do videos about real estate in general. So I put those on my YouTube video about homestead exemptions and blah, blah, blah. But what you can do, like I said, I don't do it. I would like to is do videos, and I probably should now that I have this Facebook page, videos about the neighborhood and put it on YouTube. So, and I think there's that's one thing that a big area of opportunity I know for me is this internet thing, you know, just, you know, like SEO or whatever and all that kind of stuff. So if you're someone who likes doing video, because we do have a room in there where you can do videos, but if you're going to do ones in your farm, just go out and about in your farm. One of my big things that is just such a blast, I skipped over it here, is the Easter egg hunt. I've done it, this will be my 3rd year. Oh my gosh, it is so much fun and such an opportunity to advertise and I get so many people thanking me for it. Just, I have, in the big grassy area by the pool, I buy 2,000 plastic eggs and I fill them myself. 2,000 plastic eggs with candy. It's actually kind of fun. And then I bought a Easter bunny outfit on Amazon. I recruit somebody. Anybody want to volunteer next year? Need a bunny. And you know, I personally reach out to everybody that has kids in my farm. Plus, I tell people that are not in my farm that I've worked with that they can come. It's my Easter egg hunt. I can invite whoever I want. And I usually have a huge turnout. And you know, very subtle. At the starting line, when people come in, I've got my Halloween decorations, and you can see this on probably on my Facebook thing, or at least my business Facebook, maybe not the Stone Oak Facebook. But my sign's there, it's decorated with something, so it's subtle. I don't pass out business cards, but I have a big banner that I put up in the neighborhood the week before, and of course all the signs, so it's become a big event.
So you sponsor the whole thing?
I do, and
It's
I got permission from the HOA to use their property, and it's not really the amount of expense given the return on the investment. You know, you could always ask maybe one of our vendors to partner with you. I personally have always just felt weird about that, because now I think, oh, and then I have to send them business, and I don't know why, but that's a good way. If you had a lender that you work with, insurance, would you like to help co-sponsor this with me? And that would be. And I get people that do ask me, can I help you fill the eggs next year? And I just have never followed up with that, but I probably will. And Nextdoor, you know, that Nextdoor app that a lot of neighborhoods have, commenting on that and post, just, you got to be very politically correct, though. You know, you got to sort of like, because you don't want to alienate anybody, you know, certainly nothing political or anything, but you can say good things like, oh, I just love all the Halloween decorations I see, or something like that, just so people see that you're in our neighborhood, let's see.
So the Easter egg hunt, do you do that on Easter day?
I do it like, no, I do it.
Or do you do it like a day before or a week before?
I do it the Saturday before the following Sunday.
Okay.
This last time it was stormed. It was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I just kind of had it the next Saturday, and lots of people still showed up. I did a food drive last Thanksgiving, which was very labor intensive, but again, you could delegate or hire people. I got, and actually this was really good, because what I did is I got, Williamson County Board of Realtors had a bunch of extra brown paper bags, and they gave them to me, I guess because I just asked if they had any, and then I stapled, the prior month I had sent out a flyer saying, I'm going to be dropping a bag off at your doorstep. My flyer delivery people did that. They charged me a little extra. I'm going to deliver a brown paper bag. Call me, or text me, or email me if you have some food that you want me to come pick up. So I got lots of calls from people to come pick up food on their porch between 1 and 6 on a Saturday. So I got a chance to meet a lot of people. Again, it wasn't like, thank you for the food, do you want to buy or sell a house? But, you know, pulling up, they could see my car magnet. And then, of course, I took a picture of it, the food bag, and put it on Facebook, like you do. So it was a good opportunity. Again, I had signs made, more signs out, and it sent the message that I do give back to the community, even though I have ulterior motives. Just being active and visible in the community, so a food drive. I put the pie, I think I put it here, pie thing. I would, if you had a small farm, you know, is anybody gonna do the pie event we have here, we're gonna have here? Do you know
I was
about it?
thinking about doing it, but doing it and using it instead of having them come here to pick them up and just doing like 15 in my immediate
Totally,
neighborhood.
yeah.
And do it like call them in advance, tell them that I'd like to bring them a pie and do it like a pie.
I think that's because we're gonna get a good deal, and I think they're like $4 a pie. So I guess, so yeah, you can modify it that way. So, I mean, I would never.
I don't think Sun City people are gonna come here to the office
I
to get
think
a
you're
pie.
probably right. I think, but you know what they say is so much of this is not even about them coming here to get a pie, but the whole reason to call them, a reason to touch, a reason to, sorry I missed you, kind of thing. But let's see.
What about orphan? How do you,
Oh,
how do you market
yes.
to your orphans?
Yes. Anybody know what an orphan client is? Anybody know? What's an orphan client?
It's a buyer that bought one of your listings that may not be serviced by their buyer's agent anymore.
That's exactly right. So many of them are. They just, you know, statistically, very few agents stay in contact with their clients. So they buy one of your listings, and then the agent goes on their merry way. What a great opportunity. And I can't even tell you how many times people call me, I need to sell my house. You helped me buy this house. No, I didn't. I was the listing agent. And that's why it's even more important to have,
Remember you from the side.
yeah, and to have, just be the best, most cooperative, you know, good attitude agent when you're representing the seller. Because if you're a bad agent, the buyer's agent is going to say, this listing agent's crazy, blah, 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 blah. So what you can do, because once the house is sold, they're kind of out of their agency agreement. So they're, you know, fair game. On the contract, you've got their email, you've got their phone number. You could call them or email them and say, hey, you know, did you get all settled in? You need any help with the, you know, electric company or any, you know, trash day is this. I don't know, did your realtor tell you that trash day is here and this is how you get your pool key? And then you can also remind them, you know, the seller provided a home warranty. Here's the phone number, so if anything breaks down, because a lot of people don't even know they got a home warranty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Homestead exemption time, anniversary time. Do you know it was a year ago you bought your house? How's it going so far? And just kind of, get them into your web. So you can have farms in your farm. You can have these orphan clients that you market to differently. There's the 8x8, which I don't know if you've read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, but when you first have contact with somebody, you do like 8 touches in a 8-week period. So once they move in, 8 weeks straight, reach out to them, and then every, 36 times a year or whatever. And then another little subcategory that I have that I've not nurtured as much as I could is the non-occupant owner. In my neighborhood, a lot of investors have bought over the years, and it's been troubling to me because I'm thinking, well, if they don't live here, how are they going to see my flyer? So what am I going to do about that? So I've started doing some postcard mailings to them, and non-owner occupants, you can get off tax records, or again, the title company can help you with that and get the addresses. And just I mail and say, you know, I live in the neighborhood and I own rental property in the neighborhood. I can help you sell yours or whatever. So.
Those are the people that are leasing their property?
That bought it as as an investor, and are renting it and not living there. I think, did I get everything on this list? And then here, the last page, store purchasing card, there's our rep, and then this is the lady that her company delivers my flyers. So what?
How do you find other options for that type of work? Do you just Google it, or?
For what, flyer delivery?
Yeah, like flyers, or?
Well, let me tell you a story, because I thought, it was like back this summer, I did a spot check with her, and I thought, I'm missing a lot of homes. I need a company that has a GPS system that I can track. So I called this company, and it was going to be, I don't know, maybe 21 cents a flyer. I thought, well, if I'm going to get, if I've got a GPS monitor that shows they've hit every house, it's worth the extra money. So I paid them whatever it was, I don't know, $250 or whatever. It was a company in California, but they have people here. So I had the flyers at Office Depot for them. No, I put them on my porch. They picked them up. They delivered them to Cat Hollow or something. Like, why did you, oh, we thought 78681. So Cat Hollow or one neighbor. So I said no. So I reprinted them. And anyway, long story short, they never picked them up. And I'm trying to get my money back. They won't give me my money back. I'm going to take them to small claims court. So that's the hardest part of this is fine. And I've had companies through the years. It's a yucky job, but this lady she'll pick up the flyers, and it's pretty good. So just Google it or ask around. But if you find somebody that's perfect, let me know.
Do you know about like how long it takes her to deliver them? Or-
One day.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll like pick them up, like if I'm gonna have them delivered on a Friday, I'll have them on my porch Thursday night, she'll pick them up Friday morning, and by the end of the day, she's typically done,
Okay.
so. What other questions?
Did you get your car magnets from the dirt cheap?
I did, and I would encourage you, 12 by 21? I don't know, big enough to see, cause if you can't see it, it defeats the purpose. But even now, I parked where I parked. I parked up against that church, because when people drive by, even
They'll
though
see it.
Georgetown's not really my market, it's like, I want them to see me. It's sort of out of a habit. I just sort
I
of
see
like.
you driving around all the
See,
time. I
see?
wave at you.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
wonder.
You wanna buy a house?
Can you
Um,
give me a suggestion for my son's, and I'm very proud of him, he's 11 years old, and he did the, school where they give you, they have to sell so many things.
Yes.
And he went out one Saturday, and it was the cold Saturday or Friday. It was the Saturday, because he was off school. And he went out and sold, he went to people's door, people we know in the neighborhood, but he went and sold like 20 people. And he's 11, and that was like, oh my God, that teaches me something.
You have no fear.
I mean, yes, because I said, he could have been sitting at his Xbox or watching a movie, but he actually chose to go out.
That's very impressive.
I
That's
was
very,
like-
very impressive.
And I'm like there reading my book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I bet I should be doing that. But I was thinking I should take advantage of him doing that and go to the people who don't know. But how could I offer my, like, not be like, oh, don't listen to him, but here, I'm a realtor. You know?
I don't know. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Because I'm not a door knocking person.
That's very good tech.
I know, I
Sure.
wear my name tag everywhere.
That's very sweet.
It
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
You don't have to talk to them about it,
Yeah.
you're gonna see that and be like, oh, you're out with your kid, that's pretty dedicated.
See, like this is
People
very
like that.
subtle, huh? Very subtle.
I mean, but if you're out doing a fundraiser for your kid, they're gonna see that you care about your child and obviously the fundraising and the whole giving back type of thing.
Or even like an embroidered shirt with Keller Williams in your name. Because even, we were talking about like you and I were talking about now,
You don't have to
sometimes
give
I
out
wear
a
it, sometimes I
flyer.
don't.
Be with
But
them.
yeah, but I think that's a great suggestion, just like that name tag, and the subtle, the
I
subtle.
don't wanna be, this is about him, not
Yeah.
me, but I thought, well, I could help him by, cause I don't want him going to people's door even
Yeah.
in the neighborhood, who we don't know.
Trick or treating too, when you go trick or treating.
Oh
I don't
my
think I would
God,
do
yeah,
that.
that's
I would do
true.
that. I don't think I would do. So you guys feel like you're gonna try some farming?
Definitely.
Get your overalls and your pitchfork and do some farming. But like I said, it's a good leg of business. But if anybody tries it and they just wanna, if there's anything I can do to help, I'm happy to, because I think I just love farming. The end.
Yeah.